Yeah, I know. We need to get Amy on there. I hear it every week. We're working on it. I'm Ed Harparco, one of the hosts, and with Amy T. Meyer. How you doing, Amy?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everyone else?
I don't know. Just ask them. All right, we have a guest today, Charlynda Scales. Right? Did I say that right?
Yep, you got
All
it
right.
right. Thanks for having me, Ed.
Oh, we'd love to have you on. I need some of your sauce. We'll get into that later. So if you've listened to the show or anybody watched the show, we're all about veterans transitioning out of the military through a life. Whatever you need, we're here for you. We're kind of a hub to help you. We've had people on talking about PTSD. We've had people talking about veteran benefits. You name it, we've had the subject. And if you have a subject you want us to talk about, please contact us. Message us through Facebook. You can email us at info@helpingthebrave, and we will answer you back. And that's .com, by the way. Is that good? Is that enough for you there, Amy?
It was wonderful. Thank you.
I practiced that all day today. Whatever. Charlynda, what is your story? Why did you pick the Air Force?
Well, there's only one other person that went into the Air Force in my family, and that was my grandfather. And pretty much the story of my company, Mutt Sauce, is about him. I actually wanted to play sports. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to play sports. I was a jock. I thought that was going to be my destiny. And even though my family had a rich military history, it was 4 generations at that point, I really just wanted to go to school. But I tore my ACL senior.
Okay, what sport were you in?
Track and soccer. So playing soccer, the very first game, senior year, all the scouts are out trying to figure out who they're going to recruit. And I snapped that thing in half. So I had to relook at my future. Like, what am I going to do? And someone was filling out an Air Force ROTC scholarship application in a math class I was not paying attention to. So I took his application because he said you had to do stuff. You had to do community service and stuff. So I took his application, erased his answers, put my own, passed my guidance counselor in the hallway. She said, "What is that?" It's like some application. I don't know. She took it and turned it in. And
two daughters, both ACL torn, soccer. They should outlaw soccer for girls. I mean, for any, I don't want it to come off wrong here, but it's brutal game. I mean, yeah.
I love it though. Yeah. I don't know why. I think the contact, like just that adrenaline rush, every time you're in for maybe 5 minutes or 30 minutes, I like it. I liked being on a team because track, it's just you, right? It's you versus you. And that to me was more mentally torturous than soccer. Soccer was fun.
Yeah. I actually played high school soccer too. Big guy. Yeah. That was better than football because I didn't have to be out in 110 degrees and 3 days. Yeah. Not 2 a days, 3 a days with football at our place. Anyway. All right. So you didn't say, so military family, you only talked about Air Force. What was the other military people in your family?
Yeah, we've served in every branch except for the Coast Guard. We're still recruiting the younger generation. They're still playing Fortnite and stuff right now. So we're still recruiting for the Coast Guard. But my uncles were in the Navy. I have 2 uncles who were in the Navy and the Army. My cousin, who was my generation, he actually went to the Marine Corps. So originally I said he checked the block for my generation, but he got hurt. They sent him out on a mountain to ski, and he'd never been on a pair of skis in his life. Went tumbling down the mountain, got a concussion, had to come home. And about that time was when I filled out my application and learned that I got a full ride to wherever I wanted to go to school, as long as I paid the Air Force back 4 years for 4 years of college.
So first of all, Amy's face is that mother face was every time you talked about anybody getting hurt, she's got that mother face on going, oh my God, you do. Sorry. But all right. So where did you go to school when you had that 4 years?
Clemson. Yeah, I went to Clemson.
All
and
right,
it was still like, when I chose Clemson, it was because their women's soccer team was number one. They had won the ACC championship. So I said, I'm not deviating from Clemson no matter what, if I can help it. And then they sent me something in the mail saying, "Are you an athlete without a home?" Like the old school infomercial. And it was the rowing team, like women's crew. So I got to Clemson, walked onto the women's crew, freshman year and did women's crew. And then junior year, after I came back from Lackland Air Force Base for boot camp, I walked onto the track team. So I still got to do my athlete. I got to live out my athlete dream.
Rowing. Now that's fun. And not being sarcastic. That is
the hardest sport.
Yeah, it is.
Ever.
It is a hard sport.
Yeah, because my daughter was soccer, ACL, and she went, and where we sent her for school, they're like, we got a rowing team. She can go out for rowing. And that's how she can pay. It's like, but she lasted like 2 days because you had to get up early.
Yeah. So. The attrition rate is like really high. We started out my freshman year, we had 40 girls try out. And then within the first 2 months, there was only 8 girls left.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So what'd you get? So you're really like pulling teeth around here. What'd you get your degree in?
Business management and aerospace science.
So what did you go in the Air Force for as?
I went in as an acquisitions program manager, which was still relatively new career field. I wanted to be Intel, but they said I had a business degree and they wanted to try me out in that career field. But you're basically cost, schedule, and performance. So we'll put something on contract. If I were to, what they call the Crayola version, we don't fly planes, we buy planes.
Gotcha.
That's what we do.
Okay. So acquisition of what the Air Force needs.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever capability. So, instead of looking at, the mistake would be, hey, we need a new gun. We look at, hey, we need to maintain air superiority. How do we do that? That might not always result in, what we think or whatever some contractor's trying to sell us. So.
Yeah. Air Force is one of the smartest services out there when they do acquisitions. So, and how they do things.
Quicker. I just wish we could do it faster because there's so many hoops we have to go through that by the time we develop it and put it out there, there's like something new is already out. So.
All right. So how long were you in? Oh, go ahead, Amy. I'm sorry. I'm asking all the questions.
I was going to say, it sounds like that's a wonderful degree path for business. What you learned from the Air Force, do you utilize that in your business a lot or not really that much because it's so different?
Well, stuff like just not accepting the first number. I haggle a lot. I love the negotiation phase. So if you tell me that it can be done for $2,000, I'm probably going to see if I can get it done for half. It's just my second nature. Or I get into the details of something. So when it came to producing my own product, I wanted to know all the science behind how you make barbecue. I now would study barbecue and peppers for months. That's kind of how I nerd out.
So how's the story? Tell us the story of how, so you did the Air Force, time's up, right? When you were transitioning out, did you know like right away you were going to get out after a certain period of time? Was it you were in and you were like, this is not for me. I was only needed this to pay this back to schooling. So I'm only here for 4 years. I mean, what was your plan?
Yeah, well, originally I just wanted to do it to pay for school, but my grandfather was still alive at that time. And as I got towards graduation, he had been diagnosed with lung cancer and it was already stage 4. So, the excitement on his face at the thought that I was going to be going into the Air Force, it was kind of infectious. I really wanted to do it for him. And he was actually the first person to salute me on active duty. It was a ceremony that they do at commissioning ceremonies called the Silver Dollar Salute. So he passed away probably less than a year after that ceremony. But I went into the military with just a different perspective than when I first went into ROTC, because I had that thought of, I just need to pay for school. I really just want to, make mama proud and have her, telling all her ladies at church, look what my baby did. That was really how it started. But now it's just like, I have to fulfill this family legacy of service. It's really I'm focused on staying in as long as possible. I ended up getting out of active duty after 10 years. I served for 10 years and then transitioned to the reserves in 2015. So I'm still an active reservist at Wright-Patterson here in Dayton, Ohio.
Wow. When did you join? 18?
I got in 2004. Yeah, 2004.
No, we had somebody on that retired, and he was 20, and he looked like he was 25. So it's like everybody age, not everybody ages. I age horribly, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I'm still in, but I loved it. I really did. I wish I could have stayed in, but I was living a double life by 2015 is when I started the company. I tried to stay on active duty and run the company at the same time for 2 years. I was just never sleeping. I was pretty miserable.
So how did you come about that you wanted to start the sauce? Because from what I understand, the sauce was just made for family, right? Or something like that. It wasn't a commercialized process. So you want to tell the story of how that?
Yeah, it wasn't a company, and it wasn't like a named bottle like we have Mutt sauce now. But my grandfather's call sign in Korean Vietnam was Mutt. That was his call sign for his ability to make friends anywhere. He was a really adaptable personality. But he had made this sauce back in 1956. So it had been in my family for that long. And we would eat it all the time. Everybody's got something quirky in their family that probably would everybody else would enjoy. They just don't know about it. But for me, I would put it on my eggs. Mom, she would put it on her sandwiches. He would grill with it a lot. And when I was on active duty, I remember asking my mom if she had heard what happened to the sauce, because after he passed away, we thought it was gone. And I realized it was part of my everyday life. And that part was also missing of him. I said, well, maybe I can recreate this if somebody in the family knows how to make it. And she told me to come see her. And she handed me an envelope. And she said, before your grandfather passed away, he told me to give this to you. And I opened it up, and it was the handwritten recipe. It was in his handwriting, one sheet of paper. She said he only had one copy. He said, for you to have it. I said, what am I supposed to do with this? Because I'm on active duty. I'm doing what I think is my job to fulfill the military history in our family. She said, I don't know, honey, but it's yours. Figure it out. Good luck. So I Googled free help. I went back home here to write Pat, and I Googled free help, and I came up with this organization called SCORE. Score.org. They provide free mentorship, but they're really business centered. So when I took my first meeting with the SCORE mentor, he was about my grandfather's age, and he said, look, you seem to really want to help your family, bring people together, and somehow take care of them. He said, have you ever thought about entrepreneurship? And I said, no, I haven't. Haven't given it a second thought. But he started telling me about the steps to starting your own company and how to manufacture a tomato-based product. So he really broke it down to a checklist, because he knew that's how my brain worked. I said, I'm military. I like checklists and rubrics and all that kind of stuff. So I followed the checklist. And the next thing I knew, it was 4 months later, and we were having our first production day. So he said, we move at the speed of determination. However determined you are is how fast it will happen. But I just thought it was something worth my energy, and I'd figure out the rest of it as it happened. And now that's 7 years. So
looking back, are you where you thought you would be with this?
No, I try to just keep humbling myself by saying this was a piece of paper. It was a piece of paper. Who doesn't have grandma's cookie recipe or something in their house? It's not so much that something is valuable. It's whatever value you place on that ordinary object that gives it its inherent value. So for me, I just kept saying, this has to be big. This must mean something. And I think when you walk in that mentality, it becomes whatever you think it is. So yeah, 6 months after first production, we were on Shark Tank. And then 2 years after that, we won the Bob Evans Veteran-Owned Business of the Year. We were on QVC 3 weeks ago. And every single time something happens, I'm shocked. I'm probably the most shocked person in the room, because I remember sitting down with a piece of paper with John Suter, and he said, this can be X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, nah, you're kidding. So.
All right. I'm going to ask a question. This Amy's going to jump in. On Shark Tank, who'd you go with? I didn't see the episode. Or did you go with anybody?
Didn't get a deal, and my episode didn't air. It was season 6, and everybody was there except for Damon John. So I had everybody except for Damon. And I played devil's advocate before I even got there. We applied in May of 2014. Actually didn't get to Hollywood until September, but you're auditioning virtually every week up until you leave. And then we finally got there, and I just remember it being so fast paced. And I was the first active duty Air Force person to ever go that far. So when you're on national TV and you're active duty, it's a whole different ballgame than if you are a reservist or a guards person. There was like this script that we had to memorize, or I had to memorize, and I couldn't deviate from it. If they asked me what I did, there was like the official Air Force response to, what is an acquisitions officer? What is the Air Force mission? What do you swear to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic? So you got that plus that laundry list of financials that you have to memorize because you know Mr. Wonderful is going to lob some crazy question at you. And the story that you have to memorize as well. You get one take to do your pitch. That's it. If you screw it up, you're done. So all of that swimming in my head. And I know that at that time, it was a big deal if you were all in. And that meant if you would quit your job on national TV. And they're like, tell your boss you quit. Yeah, forget you, dude. I'm all in. Me and Mr. Wonderful. And they said, absolutely not. You will not quit your job on national TV. The most important thing to you in your entire life is supporting and defending the Constitution. That's it. I was like, well, then why am I going here? Why are you letting me go on national TV and telling them that this is not important, really? That's because that's how they're going to receive it. They're going to receive it as you have a higher priority, which I did. So I was like, maybe now is not a good time. They're like, oh, no, it's a perfect time. It's a perfect time for you to go.
Well, it was a good audition, right?
Yeah. I mean, in the end, that's what happened. It was, hey, do you have any other obligations? And I kept being really gun shy. Like I was like, I don't want to talk about this. And Mr. Wonderful's like, what the hell do you have to do that's more important than Mutt sauce? And I was like, I support and defend the Constitution. You know, I just went through the whole, and then there was crickets. They're like, oh, shoot. Yeah. Yep. We're not going to tell you to quit your job today. Nope, not today. Good luck.
Right.
So.
And if you would have went on there, if you weren't in the service, you would have probably got somebody to say, I'll go in with you. But now you have nobody to pay. It's just you, right? Just your company.
Yeah, it's just me. And I kept going because even after we were done with the pitch, they stopped and gave me a whole bunch of advice. And I thought that was really great that they were still encouraging me to keep going, even in spite of not having a deal. And the other thing is they were really smart when it comes to investment. It's still an investment deal. They said, if we were to take control of a company that's very premature, even if you've had this sauce in your family since 1956, it's only been a company with 6 months of data. We only have 6 months of financial data. Now, what investor is going to give $100,000 to something that they don't know? They don't have any proof of concept. So that's why it was important for me to get over what they call the 5-year hump. So most businesses, they go out of business by 5 years. And if you make it past that, then you're legit. So.
And see, I think that's scores or small business administrations lie. So they keep getting funding to help small business, because if you look at the amount of businesses fail after, in that 5-year period, I don't think it's anywhere close, because they count people, hey, let's go start a business as part of that. And they go get a business license. We actually, when I was in my master's, we went through the different things and said, okay, reasons that businesses fail. Oh, this had nothing to do with this. Is before they even got started. So I think it's just their way of getting funding so that they can help small business, which is great. But that's what they use.
Get over the 5-year hump.
Well, just the fact that most businesses, 50% of businesses fail in the first 5 years, just to use it or whatever their number is, just to use that to help keep getting funding so they can help businesses. Are you following me? Because if they say 80% of businesses do just great, then why do we need you?
That's right. Well, that's very interesting perspective.
Yeah, that's just my take on it. I'm different. So
I like it. Give you something to chew on.
There. Oh, that's my other podcast. Real Estate Jerky. We give you something to chew on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. You have to watch
Trademark.
So tell us,
Ricky Bobby Inc. Sorry. No, you guys didn't watch Ricky Bobby. All right, move on.
I was going to ask, what has been your favorite thing in owning a business?
Connecting with people, specifically other vets. And I'll say vets and mill spouses too, because there's some really talented mill spouse entrepreneurs out there. And there's a lot of them because they have to find something that will last from assignment to assignment. So they're very adaptable that way. But I've just really felt a connection. Even when I left active duty, you know, a lot of us, especially female vets, we pretend like everything's okay or we're fine, we shrug it off. But I did my evaluation. They're like, yeah, you're 70% disabled. I'm like, what? You know, you get in there and you're talking to the mental health guy. I'm like, did I say something that concerned you? And they're just furiously writing over in the corner like, dadgum, the heck happened to you? So, yeah, I feel like when I'm working in this capacity, I feel very connected, that some of the things that I've been through are not unique. And I like it not feeling unique. Like someone saying, yep, I understand exactly what that's like.
Have you used any services that are available to veterans for business owners?
Yes. So I used Bunker Labs. I went to I'm actually in the CEO circle right now with Bunker Labs, which is they've taken this whole virtual learning environment and they're putting you with people who are in your industry. So it's just food and beverage veteran entrepreneurs. And we swap ideas and kind of do some peer mentoring. I feel like I learn a lot faster when there's peer mentoring than someone who I would consider like untouchable. Now, not to saying that some of those mentors aren't amazing. I did eventually get mentorship from Damon John through the Bob Evans program that they have, Heroes to CEOs. And that grant contest is open right now. There's 1 month left. It's $50,000. So I feel like the mentoring from my peers, though, is great because they're getting bumps and bruises and they'll tell you straight up, like, do not do this, man. Like, don't put your money here. Like, what are you about to spend $10,000 for? Let me tell you what you can spend it on instead. So I like that environment. I like that really blunt feedback that veterans are used to giving.
Yeah, we are, right? Our employees don't like it, but, you know. I can say that as a business owner, employees don't like it, but that's just the way it is. So
yeah,
you try to be, they try to work around it, but that's why I have people in between me and my staff.
And the one thing that I've learned is just being transparent upfront and often, and just letting them know, like, this is what I'm good at. This is what I suck at.
Right.
So if you ever get in your mind that I'm good at X, Y, and Z, erase that from your brain. I really do suck at it. I'm not giving you I'm not paying you lip service when I tell you that I have a 3-second attention span. So if you tell me one thing and then lob another question in the same 3 seconds, I have forgotten the first question. That's how my brain works. So a lot of times in my career field, they will try to they think that I'm like this excellent multitasker, but I'm actually really excellent at finishing one thing at a time, but multiple things. I'm not doing multiple things at one time. I'm finishing a lot of things in a short amount of time.
That's a great way to say that.
Yeah. But it's hard. So like, for example, like, hey, Charlynda, could you send your bio to so-and-so? Sure. 2 seconds later. Oh, while you're at it, can you do X, Y, and Z? I've already forgotten this in my bio. I will.
I think we need to use that, Ed.
Well, I did send only, can you send your bio and your headshot? And I didn't get that. So, hey, good thing you have a website.
Yeah.
I stole your picture of you with the bottles, and that's what I put on the thumbnail for this.
And that's why I normally have an exec, but I haven't had one since the pandemic. So thank you for your grace.
Oh, hey, we're just here to help.
So
if you don't have those things, that's where it gets hard, right? If you have that, then it's easy for us to go grab and get. And I understand. Yeah. So
yeah, I usually keep like it's just a press kit link, and I'll like once or twice a month I will update that with new pictures, or change the bio up if something new has happened that's noteworthy. But yeah, I can't do multiple messages.
Now, Amy, you had something before I interrupted you.
I did. My question that I ask pretty often is, do you do any volunteer work? With whether through your business or just on the side that you're passionate about?
Yes. So along with Mutt Sauce, we have several charity partners, and they're people that I've worked with before and volunteer my time with. So one is Final Salute, which helps house homeless women, veterans, and their children. I sit on the Miss Veteran America organization as one of their alumni. I was 2016 Miss Veteran America runner-up. Then Dayton Children's, I sit on their board. They raise money for the local children's hospital here. There's a charity called Scars Uncovered, which gives care packages to burn survivors based out of Nashville, Tennessee. American Freedom Fund, they use sports and camaraderie to combat PTSD in veterans. So they build sports teams that travel and compete together. And those are the main ones. I do a lot of work with the Girl Scouts, whether locally or nationally. And I sit on several webinars with SCORE now, the headquarters for SCORE. And whenever Bunker Labs needs me, I always say yes, because they're an amazing organization for veterans.
That's a lot, ma'am.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here smiling because finally somebody does more than Amy. Always Maybe. She used to have next to her name Volunteerholic, and it's like I had to remove it. And then now you come on and it's like, hi, Amy, why are you sitting around doing nothing?
Well, it's relative these days because you don't have to travel as much.
Right. It's perfect.
You had to live out of hotel rooms and you were tired and stuff. Now it's like you can be involved just by flipping up your laptop and, helping people out. I've done virtual talks with, young Girl Scouts. They're trying to figure out high school and, the stigma of, is Girl Scouts cool? Yes. Girl Scouts is like the best sorority you can belong to. I've gotten so many connections government-wise from people who I discovered were former Girl Scouts. So yeah, if I can encourage them to keep going, they need to keep going.
So one of the questions I always ask is there something you use today that you learned in the military? Well, I already know that. Yes, there is. So you answered that in the beginning. What you do for now, Amy asked that, but normally I ask, like, somebody asked me, is there something you use that when you were in the military? And it's like, yeah, I get on time is 10 minutes early for me. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I saw the email. It said log in 10 minutes early.
Well, that was different. All right. That's just because we go live right at. That. Yeah. So that's why.
Well, I think that my personality on active duty is a lot different than it is as an entrepreneur. And it was one of my former execs. She said, you could probably bring that chick back a couple more times, because I've been in negotiations where I want to be like kumbaya. And they're like, the, major that we knew, she would just not take any of this. Like, this is not how this meeting would go. You would not have people trying to get a once over on you, because you would have let them know up front that I'm not the chick to mess with. And I was like, yeah, but I'm laid back now. They're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, give them the major version. Do that. So I have to, sometimes glean on that military training and bring her back so that people know who they're dealing with. Because really, on the inside, I feel it. I just haven't said it. And I don't know. I just thought that the people wanted like the laid back, halfway retired version. I don't know.
So where can we find? Oh, sorry.
For me, I was like, she was just like that chick was
just okay. We'll kind of get it. All right, you can say it. We're not on radio. You can say the word if you wanted to.
Okay. I'm trying to live right.
Just ask forgiveness.
I was going to ask where we can find your sauce now. You said QVC last week, or where do people find it?
Yeah, so our website is muttsauce.com, 2 T's, 2 S's, muttsauce.com. We have all of our flavors you can buy in a variety pack. We just started spices last year. So I was looking at, during the pandemic, people were asking for, can you bring on an additional flavor? But, when you're not in it, you don't realize that each flavor for a manufacturing run costs us $20,000. So each flavor for me, when I'm doing all my flavors, it's like $60,000. And the only difference between each flavor is really the spices. So the same base sauce with different spices in it. So instead of making the sauces, we made spices, and you can get those online too. Yeah, we made 3 extra. So there's berbere, which is an Ethiopian spice that we debuted like 3 years ago. It was for an Ethiopian wedding, and people loved it so much that we just sold it for limited time. Garlic ghost pepper, because people love our ghost pepper flavor, but they thought it was not hot enough. So we just gave you powdered ghost pepper with a hint of garlic, so you can punch it up as much as you want. And onion pepper, and that is just a combination we hadn't found a lot in like the store, is those combinations of onion and pepper. And when you add it with Mutt sauce, it tastes pretty good. So those are the 3 flavors.
Now, where are you out of?
Dayton, Ohio.
Okay. Is that where everything's done there locally, or is it? Okay.
Everything's done right here in Dayton.
All right.
So what is your favorite thing to put Mutt sauce on?
Well, I grew up putting it on my eggs.
Eggs. Come on, Amy.
I grew up putting it on my eggs, but it's really great for like crock pot chicken. We have a wonderful mango salsa recipe on the website. I think it's a really refreshing recipe for the summer. And what else? Gosh, I made this soup the other day that was like this Asiago ghost pepper with cauliflower. So you blend roasted cauliflower, put our garlic ghost pepper powder in it, and Asiago cheese. And then it's just like a really nice spicy soup. So.
I'm sorry. Stop listening after cauliflower.
What, you don't like cauliflower?
Yeah. My wife used, here's mashed potatoes. No, it's cauliflower. I don't care what you do. It's still cauliflower.
I like cauliflower. I don't know.
That's okay. That's all right. To each his own.
But
I had Mutt sauce on it.
Yeah, we have a drink called the Bloody Mutt. It's our version of the Bloody Mary. Yeah, you just replace your tomato sauce with the Mutt sauce. Yeah. The thing about Mutt sauce is considered specialty because it already has spices in it. Like you don't have to add tomato paste and all this other stuff. You just use the sauce because it already has like 10 or 15 spices already mixed in. And for us, like it's not super hot. We have an original version that's not hot. It's like our kid version, sweet and spicy, and then ghost pepper. And we also carry a gluten-free version for people who can't have wheat, because we learned that we don't use Worcestershire or molasses. That's how we're different from barbecue. We actually use soy sauce. So that's what makes it a unique flavor that you wouldn't get anywhere else. But soy sauce has gluten in it. And we had to find a version that didn't have wheat.
Now, did your grandpa make the sauce overseas? Start overseas?
Yes, he
And
spent
then
a
like
lot of time
Vietnam or
in Iowa.
yeah.
He lived in Okinawa. Like my mom grew up basically in Japan.
That would be the sauce.
Oh
part
yeah.
that you just talked about. My
Yeah.
wife grew up in Hawaii. That they use that on everything and in everything, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a main staple. So you can definitely taste the journey and everything that he's used in there. But yeah, the Asian influence was pretty heavy, and it just has a little bit of a tang to it. It gives just a little tang on the end, but it's a sweet sauce. So it's not a like tomatoey. It's more of like a sweet and tangy.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I mean, we really got to get to know you. I'm not kicking you out yet. It's been 36 minutes, but I'm just letting you know that, I want to make sure I don't forget to tell you that because, we get sidetracked and next thing you know, we're out of here. Time's up.
Yeah. Well, I'm having a good time.
We'll talk for hours then. So what's looking, all right. So this is about transitioning military through life and helping vets. We talked about how the services that you utilize to help with your company. Is there anything else that's out there that that's available for businesses that vets might not know about?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that the pandemic taught me when I'm counseling fellow vets is just being organized. Even I had to do that. Go back and look at your processes, make sure that all your finances are up to date. And when it came time to get the PPP, a lot of people didn't have all of their financial data together to even qualify for the stuff that was out there. So before even looking to see what's available, you really need to kind of look close to home and say, where's all my stuff at? Do I know what my pricing is? So if I want to get a new deal with QVC and they say, well, how much is your packaging? If you don't know how much it is, or if you just throw out a number without knowing all the rest of the costs, you might, instead of making money, then you'll end up being a charity. You're going to end up losing money on a great deal. So I usually tell them to take a step back and get that in order. And then once you get your house in order, then look at PPP. The SBA had the Restaurant Relief Fund. And I'm glad that they finally looked back and said, oh, it's not just technology-based people. It's like food and beverage too. So, there's the Restaurant Relief Fund that just closed. Bob Evans has the $50,000 grant. And it's not just one winner. They're actually giving 4 other businesses $10,000. So you don't even have to win to still win. You can still get the $10,000 grant, which can go a long way. Taking the time to get your certifications. If you're a woman, if you're a minority, if you fit one of those demographics, veteran owned, there's all kinds of contracts out there. And government contracts are just as lucrative as a grant. So it's just really about taking the time to do the work to get what you can, being a veteran, get all your certifications, get your finances together so you qualify for what's out there. They're not limited. Some of them are always there. They were there before the pandemic. People just don't know to go after it.
You forgot disabled.
And disabled veterans.
Yeah, veterans. That's a big class that a lot of people forget about. Or I think a lot of vets just don't like to ask for help or they want to do it on their own. They're so used to just doing things, right? And so you have to stop that. You're a business owner. You need to go get as much help as you can to move forward to be successful.
Yeah. And the other thing is not letting people take advantage of you, really doing some discernment, because I hate the fact that people prey on veterans. They really do. Some of them will say, hey, you know what? You got your disability check. You can afford to pay my consulting fee of blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, these people are awful. Like, why are they? Or they'll say, I'll file for your EIN, or I'll get your certification for you. And I'm looking at all these things. The first thing I'll tell people is like, here's the list of things that are free 99. They cost you about 30 minutes of your time, but it's free. Go on the IRS website and get your EIN. File your business license. It does not cost $750 or whatever crazy number they're quoting you. It's $125 to get your business license, depending on the state that you live in. Free to get your EIN. Doesn't cost you anything to get your veteran certification. I just hate when people scam veterans. I really do. And if you have reservations about whether or not they're scamming you, ask somebody else. Google. Just don't accept the first thing that you're told.
And that's in anything, because in my industry, there's companies who take drastic advantage of veterans. So
yeah,
because we trust. So you got to trust and verify, though. So you must check to make sure that you are getting, go through somebody, get a referral, whatever that is, talk to somebody else, get help, and don't just go alone. So.
Tell them, Ed, preach.
And I would agree, even in the nonprofit arena, like people think, well, if it's a nonprofit, it's going, it's righteous and it's going to do right by me. Mm-hmm. But I think even nonprofits need to be verified, and programs, how long has this program been going on? What makes it sustainable? Who else is connected with it? All the things.
Yeah. And these days, I don't know why people would still try to pull the wool over folks' eyes when there's so much access to information. Like, it's so much easier to verify these things. You'll see them do posts on social media. Guess what? This charity took in this amount of money and 3/4 of it went to the founder's salary. Like, it did not help any children.
Well, that's like Goodwill. All right. They don't help anybody. Right? I'm not knocking it. People donate stuff, and then most of that stuff goes, like you just said, to something else. I'm not picking on Goodwill, but there's other organizations in your local community that could possibly use those. Disabled American veterans. There's a lot of different places who could use that stuff. So
absolutely. Yep. I agree with you. And we just have to do our part to, if we see it, to say something, because there are Facebook groups and groups where people are asking for advice, and we can be that person that responds and says, hey, look, it doesn't cost you that much money. This person who's saying, PM me for rates, DM me. No, don't DM that person. They're about to scam you. Here's how much it costs. Or, hey, just take 30 minutes. I'll walk you through it on Zoom. Like, right. We have to do our part too, to make sure that our brothers and sisters in arms are getting opportunities and not being taken advantage of.
Which is kind of why we're doing this.
Right.
We just really want to get information out there, because I think there's, you have programs right when you're transitioning out, depending on if you're in the right mindset. And then a lot of times time goes by and then nobody knows how to reach back and find things, or who's doing what, or, you kind of get into your silos. And, this was Ed and Matt's brainchild to, if we all talked about it, if we all talked to whomever we know who was in the military to share their experiences, then maybe we can save some people from going down slippery slopes.
Love that. I love that.
Yep. All right. We're at the end of the show. Gotta go. Things to do. No, I really appreciate you being on today. I mean, we can talk afterwards. Just stay right there after we hang up. Amy, you want to say anything before we go? And then
you'll close us out.
Sure.
Just thank you so much for coming on. And your story is incredible and very inspiring and very educational. So I appreciate everything that you shared. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
And I know if somebody wanted to reach out to you to ask questions about starting a business, especially, I mean, you'll help anybody, but especially women-based, would love to. I'm sure a lot of them will want to reach out. How do I get started? Whatever, you would help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
How would they find you?
Charlynda at muttsauce.com.
See how easy that was? All right. I want to thank everybody for watching today, listening. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe and like us and share. And again, thank you so much for showing up today, especially you, Charlynda. Thank you. And Amy, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you all stay right there, and we're going to go to the end.